Who would win? Sonny Corleone or Tony Montana? If these two reckless gangsters went head-to-head, who would come out victorious? Both are well known as being among the most ruthless and vicious gangster characters ever created, and putting them up against each other is a heck of a show. So, in a hypothetical scenario that both existed at the same time, who would win? Let's find out. But let's get a little more into the whole scenario. It's 1945, Don Vito has just been shot on the orders of 𝐉𝐨𝐬𝐧 𝐔𝐬. However, fortunately for the Corleone family, he survived, and Sonny Corleone is infuriated and wants revenge. Sonny was known to be brutal when faced with any opposition and on many occasions comes out victorious. He puts hits all over New York and the Turk is getting worried. So he calls his partner in the cocaine trade to come and take care of Sonny himself. That man is Tony Montana, one of the biggest drug traffickers in the whole country. Now that we know what's going on, let's actually dive into comparing their strengths and weaknesses and crown the winner.
Mob guys. Guineas.
Antonio Raimundo Montana was a Cuban immigrant that climbed his way into a life of crime, reaching the heights of success, wealth and power in America. He had an exponential rise to power and wealth and outfought his enemies brilliantly. He established the Montana cartel and was one of the biggest importers in the whole country, bringing in over $15 million every single month. He was rising extremely rapidly and was catching the attention of everyone in the criminal underworld. Even before coming to America, he was involved in different types of crimes from an early age. He spent a few years in the army, but later was sent to jail and joined a prison gang, where he was known and recruited as an assassin. Montana is known for his violence, cocaine habit, in which later was the reason for his downfall. However, at the height of his power, he was a very shrewd, strategic and ambitious gangster, but with a bad temper. Sonny Corleone is the oldest son of Don Vito Corleone. He famously was the most impulsive and had the worst temper in the Corleone family. From his early teenage years, Sonny was known for having street fights, not doing well in school, and just overall being a bad kid. However, one evening Clemenza had informed Don Vito that Sonny had been involved in an armed robbery. Sonny was the ringleader, leading to other boys. It was one of the very few times Vito had lost his temper. He had sent for his son and berated him for risking his life for such pettiness. Sonny later convinced his father to allow him to join the family business, and so Sonny was now part of the family business, watching closely and learning from his father and his top men the inner workings of a mafia family. A few years later, Vito saw some promise in his eldest son and began to give him some responsibility. His first major test came following the family's move to Long Beach. Few swindlers that did not know of who Vito really was had come confidently trying to extract some money from him. Vito was amused, but saw this as a good opportunity to test Sonny, as he was considering making him his underboss. When Vito told him to go handle them, as soon as Sonny heard their demands, he pulled his gun out and began berating them. His approach wasn't to the Don's taste, but still knew he was getting there. But Sonny's first real display of his qualities as a leader were soon to come. During the pacification of New York, a group of Irish assassins shot Vito in his chest. This allowed Santino to take over a regiment, giving himself the rank of capo regime, and shocked the streets with his brilliance in leading and strategic prowess. He was far more brutal and ruthless than his father was, which terrified his enemies. After the Don had recovered, he had brought back peace, and Sonny was given the proper recognition and began building his respect in the criminal underworld. Let's begin in comparing their intelligence and strategic prowess. Now, they both are no Vito Corleone, however, we can't underestimate either one. Both have shown and proven themselves as worthy generals and often make brilliant strategic decisions. In our other head-to-head, we stated that the biggest distinction between Tony and Michael Corleone was the fact Michael was educated in very prestigious schools and colleges, had been in the army, leaving with medals of bravery and so on, in summary was well educated. whereas Tony was educated in the streets and had to go through everything himself. He was street smart and had seen his fair share of hardship on his way up and throughout his life. He also retained a great deal of wit and was relatively good at understanding people and his enemies. Now, what's interesting is that Sonny has more similarities to Montana than he had with Michael. Sonny too didn't have any formal education, nor was he a war hero. Rather, he was a high school dropout who was always street fighting and from 16 was involved in his father's business. So, he too was educated in the streets. However, Sonny was given an education by someone far superior than any college professor. He was learning everything from his father, the Notorious Don, as well as Consigliere Genco and Peter Clemenza. All through their many years of experience, were handing down their valuable knowledge to Sonny. With all that being said, if we had to choose one, on an individual level, Tony has the edge. The reason for this is that Sonny had the benefit of learning from his father, and even when he wasn't around, he had some highly experienced and brilliant people around him that counseled him when making tactical decisions. Tony was pretty much a one-man show. He did not have the battle-hardened copper regime on the level Peter Clemenza and Salvatore Tessio, or even a consigliere the likes of Tom Hagen. This is probably the biggest advantage Montana has over Sonny. Put simply, Tony Montana was all about money. It's the one thing he holds above all else. And indeed, he very impressively built a multi-million-dollar empire in an incredibly rapid speed.
The shooting of your father was business, not personal, Sonny.
Well, then business will have to suffer, all right?
Sonny never displayed much business acumen. He pretty much delegated all those aspects to others, probably the best move he can make, as he was more all about the action. However, we did only see Sonny as the boss in times of crisis. We don't really know how he would have managed the Corleone Empire if it was under different circumstances. But in a war scenario, the Corleone Empire controlled far more businesses and assets, therefore have a lot more resources to use to win. Even so, the fact that Tony pretty much single-handedly built his empire, that is enough for him to win this category.
Who put this thing together? Me! That's who!
This will probably be the most interesting category to look into. A major characteristic both had is their extreme temper and savagery. But something you all pointed out on our page is the fact Tony was at his extreme mainly when he was high on his own supply. Whereas Sonny did not need anything to enhance his severe temper and recklessness. Tony still was in no way composed and really was a hothead, but Sonny probably would be considered as more of a hothead than Tony. But it's too close to declare a clear winner when you're comparing these two. Once again, as we mentioned in our other video, because of Don Vito's well-established empire, and having his two closest friends as his capos, Tony's organization simply cannot match their power and soldiers. In terms of a one-on-one street fight, it would be very close, but we probably still would have our money on Sonny, mainly because of his build and his reputation as a veteran street fighter. However, in a gun battle, you have no choice but Montana. But looking at all this overall, Sonny is our winner. Overall, in this scenario, who would come out on top? Sonny with his extreme temper but huge resources and counsel? Or Tony with his ruthlessness and street experience, but with the limitations of his power and influence? For us, we have determined, based on the factors we discussed, that the winner by a small margin is Sonny Corleone. The main reasons being that Sonny has the advantage of being part of the well-established Corleone family, with its soldiers, connections, and experienced leaders. But this is just our take on this, so comment below if you agree, but also, who would you select as the winner and why? Plus let us know who you want to see go head-to-head next. Once again, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe and join us on our socials for more.